Hello everyone, welcome to Digital Energy, where we talk about Bitcoin, other digital assets, and the incredible crypto revolution that's sweeping the globe. Today I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin ongoing adoption and the Superbowl of crypto that we just had here in the United States. So if you've been paying attention to the markets over the last several weeks, you know that the stock market has been struggling primarily because of the FUD that we're seeing, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt having to do with inflation, the highest inflation we've seen in 40 years, and the Federal Reserve's attempts to get that inflation under control by being more hawkish about interest rates, talking a lot about raising interest rates to the point where some people believe we may see as many as 5 increases of interest rates over the next several quarters. There's also the worry about military conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and all of that has seemed to depress at least the stock markets. But what we see in the cryptocurrency market, and especially in Bitcoin, is an ongoing strength despite the FUD. I want to talk a little bit about that and share with you some of the reasons why I believe Bitcoin will continue to go up in value in the long term, and it will become more and more a flight to safety in uncertain times. So I first want to talk about corporate adoption. Many of you may know the story of MicroStrategy, a publicly traded company that adopted a treasury strategy of converting its excess cash into Bitcoin. And here is a chart of the stock price of MicroStrategy. They began buying Bitcoin sometime back in the end of 2020. And the reason that they did so is because the CEO of MicroStrategy was looking at its cash reserves of several $1 million and determined that, it could either do nothing and watch the cash reserves dwindle in value because of the devaluation of the American dollar, or it could try to do something to pump up that value. And it was decided that they would convert their cash to Bitcoin, and you can see that that was an incredibly successful strategy. As they purchased Bitcoin and as Bitcoin rose in value, that translated directly into a rise in their stock price. And you can see that MicroStrategy's rocketed higher from about $180 per share up to as high as $1,200, $1,300 per share. Now, they have bounced around, but by any measure, even at the place where they are today, at $433 per share, that has proven to be a very successful strategy for them, a treasury strategy. So what you're seeing is publicly traded companies and other businesses have 2 different strategies. One is their core business. What are they in the business of doing? In the case of MicroStrategy, they're in the business of making business software. They also have a treasury strategy where they sweep all of their excess money into Bitcoin because they believe that Bitcoin will rise in value, as opposed to if they hold it in dollars, the dollars will continue to base at 10 to 15, maybe even 20% per year. Because of MicroStrategy's success in adopting a Bitcoin standard for their treasury reserves, you're seeing many other companies, corporations, and businesses do the same. Here's a little story from February 5th. Just a couple of weeks ago, California restaurant chain plans to adopt Bitcoin. And you can see here is a quote: "We've concluded that running the business exclusively on cash isn't the most advantageous nor the safest method of running a business in 2022 and beyond." And further, "I understand that it is still early in terms of corporate adoption as well as governmental adoption of Bitcoin, but we plan to contribute to this cause by leading with our example." In a more recent story, the very large accounting firm of KPMG, at least their Canadian affiliate, has also adopted a Bitcoin or crypto treasury strategy. KPMG announced in a press release that its Canadian office had purchased Ethereum and Bitcoin for its corporate treasury. In a quote from that Canadian office, "This investment reflects our belief that institutional adoption of crypto assets and blockchain technology will continue to grow and become a regular part of the asset mix." And I absolutely believe the same. You're going to see more and more corporations and companies adopt a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency treasury strategy to protect the purchasing power of their excess capital. Now, if you're a fan of American football, you also have seen some pretty exciting things with regard to Bitcoin adoption. There were several Super Bowl ads that had a direct connection to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Probably one of the most well-known is Coinbase's ad, where it simply was a QR code that was bouncing around the screen, and if you were to scan that QR code with your phone, it would take you directly to the Coinbase account so that you could set up and exchange accounts to purchase cryptocurrencies. Let's take a look at some of the quotes here. Coinbase, because of this ad, had 20 million hits on their landing page, and I think it was so much it actually crashed their page. But we also saw that the mobile app for Coinbase rose in popularity from 186th place to second on the Apple App Store. Millions and millions of people downloaded the app, and I think many of them will follow through with setting up an account and buying cryptocurrency, which will continue to fuel adoption. FTX, another exchange, also had a pretty controversial ad with the comedian Larry David, and I thought this was probably my favorite one, although I do think that the Coinbase ad was quite ingenious. But I like this ad because basically it was Larry David showing up in vignettes from various times throughout the ages, where he was turning his nose up at inventions such as the wheel, the light bulb, and other things, the telephone, things like that. And finally, in the final scene, he was talking to somebody at FTX about how FTX is a safe and easy way to get into crypto, and he says, I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. So with many innovations, you see that there are a lot of naysayers, but then adoption comes in and it becomes something that's widely accepted. I think that's where we're headed for cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin. You also may know that the rapper Drake turned to Bitcoin to make some bets on the Super Bowl. He actually used $1.3 million worth of Bitcoin to place various bets, and he was successful on many of them, so he became a big Bitcoin user. And one thing that's interesting in this article, the receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has decided that he wants to receive his salary in Bitcoin for his play in the National Football League. So we're seeing all kinds of continued adoption with regard to Bitcoin. I think you're seeing the effects of this exposure at the Super Bowl over the last 2 days. We actually started Super Bowl Sunday with Bitcoin at about 42,000. We ended at today's trading at almost 44,500, up nearly 5 to 6%. I am expecting Bitcoin to continue to rise. We may see a short-term pullback, but I am expecting to see it rise into the $48,000 range in the immediate short term. And there we will experience some resistance. And then barring some sort of black swan event, Russia invading Ukraine, or something else that's unforeseen, or that's a major story in the world, I think you are going to see Bitcoin in the next 2 to 4 weeks rise into the $52,000 range. And if we can break through that range, we will start to move higher into the $58,000 to $60,000 range. If you haven't invested in Bitcoin yet, it's not too late, but of course, do your own research, make decisions that are appropriate for you, your family, and your financial situation. This is Brett with Digital Energy. Do your homework and protect yourself out there.